I guess it doesn't announce itself as GoToMeeting does, but you please make sure that the volume is fully on the up on the speaker.
On the speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
No,
This one?
no, here.
Yeah.
Make sure that the volume is. And we are recording. All right, go ahead.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, it's 6:03 on March 24th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Stephanie, can I have the certificate of quorum and the proof of notice, please?
Yes, we do have 5 board members present in person and 1 virtually. So all board members are present. So we do have a quorum, and I certify that public notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with Florida Statute 720.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. First agenda item is the approval of past minutes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion by the board?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
John?
How's John gonna vote?
John, are you there?
He's on mute at the moment.
Oh, I unmuted him. To be able to unmute himself.
He's muted.
Let's see.
Might need to unmute himself.
John, you have to unmute yourself. Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Aye,
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
you're welcome.
Next agenda item is the management reports. Stephanie, I don't know who's going first.
Yes, it's going to be me. So next up is the management report. If you just give me a moment to get the PowerPoint up and running.
It's too well.
There we go. Okay. This management report is reporting on January and February of 2025. So we're going to start with HOA operations. We have our report for the delinquencies. So at the end of February, the association was, what was due to the association was $135,112.74. Over 90 days is $88,939.97. And we have 14 accounts at attorney at the end of February. In January of 2025, we closed on 3 homes, and in February, 2 homes closed. For our 24/7 customer care center, in January, we received a total of 30 inquiries, and 8 of those were escalated to on-site management. And then in February, we had 26 inquiries that our customer care center handled, and 7 of those were escalated to on-site management. The majority of those inquiries were related to homeowners making incorrect 2025 monthly assessment payments and just needed help getting their account sorted out, settled, and understanding how to sign up for auto pay, things like that. Between January and February, we issued 406 violations, and the total opened at the end of February was 197. So we did, our homeowners did a very good job with getting things completed and getting them closed on their accounts. And between those 2 months, we issued 47 parking violations, street parking violations. For ARC applications, we processed 42 ARC applications during those 2 months. 27 were approved, 8 were conditionally approved, and 7 were denied. I realize that those numbers do not add up. I believe that was 18 conditionally approved. My apologies. Is that 27,
No,
8,
either.
7?
No, it does.
15,
Sorry.
27, 42.
Yeah, that
Oh,
works.
it works. Never mind. Okay. Sorry, bad math. To give a quick rundown of landscaping items. So new annual flowers were installed at the end of February in all of our common areas and monuments around the community. Community-wide fertilization was completed, and communication was sent out to the community about that treatment, and SDS sheets were provided on the Connect Resident portal in case any residents were interested in what treatments were being applied throughout the community. Community-wide mulching, the annual mulching is currently underway. So far, phases 5, 4, and 3 have been completed. They are currently working in phase 2. I did get a few calls today from homeowners who said that the front was done and the back was partially done. They did run out of mulch halfway through the day today, so they are going to be back in full force tomorrow. So don't worry, the backs of phase 2 are not fully done yet. And phase 2 should be completed by the end of Wednesday, where they will then move into phase 1. The front of the golf club was refreshed with new plant material, and a new hedge was installed around the front of the clubhouse as well. And the playground at the North Pool was remulched as well with a playground grade mulch. Some operational items. The CAP controllers were installed at all pools and our spa. The Tiki Hut roof at the North Pool was rethatched. That was a really cool project. If you haven't seen that yet, go take a look. It looks really good. All the light poles on the pool deck and the parking lot that were out have been repaired and had their lamps replaced. All of the pool deck lights and the plaza parking lot lights have been put on a photo cell. And what that means is instead of coming on at a specific time every day and having to reset timers, now the lights just automatically turn on when it gets to be dusk. So once there's not enough light on, the lights will automatically turn on. Loose handrails on the pool deck were repaired and secured. Various street signs around the community were straightened and new concrete poured to hold them in place. We secured a preventative maintenance contract for our generator here at the plaza. The plaza carpet was cleaned today. The plaza parking lot pressure washing was completed. That happened about 2 weeks ago. And our other pressure washing projects are coming very soon. I did send a communication out that on April 7th, phase 3 is going to start. So we will send communication out about that again as a reminder. And then regarding our pool decks, I know some people have been asking about that. We are going to be doing that in-house with our maintenance team. I'd like to give a quick recap of what's going on with our pools. So since 2023, since I've been the community manager, our lower pool here at the plaza has had 16 different holes repaired at the bottom of it. Every time we have to get a hole repaired, this is part of our construction defect lawsuit, which our attorney, Kaylin Martinelli, will talk about in just a bit. But we have to give Lennar notice that we're getting the hole repaired to give them time to come and cure it. Becker and Polykoff was on site in January, and they were here with leak detection experts to do some testing on the lower pool at the Plaza Clubhouse. And we are going to be having some destructive testing done on April 2nd to evaluate the hull of the pool, just to see what kind of condition it is in. I have sent out e-blasts about this, but more will come. On April 1st, we will have to empty the pool. On April 2nd, the engineers will come and conduct their study. And then as soon as their study is done, we will be refilling the pool. It'll either start right that day on April 2nd or on April 3rd. We're hoping that the pool will be reopened by April 4th, but we will be working with Central Florida Pools on that. We have hired a new facilities manager. Her name is Jenny Torres. She started at the end of January. She is actually not here this evening. Welcome to the team. She's very under the weather right now. So, but she's, she's really hit the ground running. She's going to be working with me to build on top of and create a very robust preventative maintenance calendar and schedule for the entire property. She's going to be helping me manage and oversee vendors for various projects that are happening around the community, and overall just manage the maintenance and janitorial teams in those departments. We've been, since she's been here, just over, well, not even a month yet. So she's been utilizing Connect's work order system to assign tasks to the team members. So all of their work is trackable. This creates tangible evidence of all of the work that has been completed on things that we don't necessarily always report on, like little, repairs here and there. So all of that will be tracked now. In February alone, we had 43 work orders that were completed from small repairs. around the facilities, which is great. She offers a lot of is going to offer us a lot of in-house benefits as well, something that we've talked about. She is HVAC certified, which is awesome. So we're hoping to potentially bring in a lot of the HVAC preventative maintenance in-house, as well as a lot of the hood maintenance for the kitchens and stuff. So that's just something that we're going to be discussing and putting a plan together and presenting to the board as a proposal in the near future. And I turn it over to James Guinan, our F&B director.
We need a.
Do you have any questions?
Would you like one?
I guess, should we
I'm
ask
sorry?
her?
So I just have a
Oh,
question
sure.
for you.
Yes.
So when the pool's drained, the 18 or 16 holes, like, is the engineer or whatever gonna look at those and evaluate if there's any permanent fix until we get the
Yeah, actually.
litigation
So
settled?
I was going to touch on that. Sorry. Thank you. It slipped my mind. So we actually currently have 2 holes at the bottom of the pool right now. We've been asked to, three holes at the bottom of the pool right now. We've been asked to not repair those right now so that when the engineers are here, they can look at them. Because it's kind of helpless if we're filling them in, fixing them. So we want to have them actually look at the holes and determine what's going on.
Okay. Just second question, and I know we have to do this, but is there any risk of, and Kayla, maybe draining a pool that has thousands of pounds of pressure on the pool hull? Like, does anything?
They don't drain it. Well, Vinton might bail down to that. I don't
Yeah,
think it'll pop.
the pool contractor and Michael Cuevas have been, they're.
I'm talking about- okay.
Yes, the pool can't pop out of its shell if it's not done properly, but sufficient measures are being taken,
To ensure that, okay.
that will.
'Cause obviously that's a bad outcome if all of a sudden the pool's out of commission for
That's a.
12 months or some other.
Yeah, it's April 4th, subject to that.
April 2nd.
Is when it's,
But we're gonna open it back up on.
Oh, yeah.
But we could get delayed if we have that.
Correct.
Is it just holes in the is it just the plaster's just chipping, is it?
We don't know. We don't know if those holes are creating an actual leak or not. So that's something that they're gonna try and determine. So we don't know if it's just plaster chipping.
Person came out, did they say there was a leak? Are we topping it up a lot?
No, we're not. We're not topping it up. No, the water levels are always pretty normal.
Okay, so it's just,
Yeah.
so it's just on the surface.
That's the thought right now. Now, I don't know.
Just whether.
You know, Kaylin?
17 or 18 of them fixed, I just wonder.
There were leaks detected, but it's yet to be determined what the source of those necessarily is. Hoping to get more information on that when the engineer comes out, and takes.
Okay.
I can tell you the inside of the pool, there's cracks and there's holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's certainly a problem.
And the patching is.
Okay.
okay.
All right, we're gonna
Thanks.
pass it over to James Guinan, your food and beverage director.
Okay, good evening, everybody. How are we doing today?
Is he gonna need a mic?
Alrighty. So
Can
we've had a pretty busy.
you
few
come
months
talk
so
close
far.
here
You gotta talk into,
into that?
Yeah, I was down the other side of the table. because the camera's right there.
oh, stand over there.
Do I need a microphone?
No, try without
Try
it. 'cause you-
without.
You have a good.
Gotcha.
Project into the dot.
I
All
won't.
right. Oh, we got 2 Irish people on one side now. That's dangerous. Okay, so we've had a busy few months in the food and beverage side of things, you know, I know January over golf, you know, during the weather was quite cold, so kind of affected a little bit of sales here and there. But, you know, on a good note, public play is definitely noticeable right now in terms of revenue in the golf grill. Our Bev cart is constantly restocking every time. Really good sales coming from there. In terms of February, we are definitely up on sales right now. We did very well. We've had a lot of events going on over there, especially at the end of the month. We had the Gentleman's Invitational, or sorry, the Memorial Cup coming to the end of the month. Even before that, we had the Gentleman's Invitation as well. So that definitely created a lot of revenue over there, which was great to see. But also, you know, we did see a lot of our public play happening on a Thursday, where you start to see that increasing now in the evenings because the evenings are getting longer right now. So we're seeing a lot more business in the afternoons, even late afternoons, on those other days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well, which is, really, really good to see. You know, with the introduction of prime rib on the Thursdays over here at the plaza, we've added something a little bit extra as well, which we saw a lot of great attendance, coming in for that, along with our Wind Down Wednesday, which we have, every other Wednesday. Just to go over some of the events that we've had. Just on our recent events, we've had, casino night, which we had, in, January, which was a great one. Even before that, I know we never really had a chance to talk about New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve was a very, very busy one in both places, and it was definitely very enjoyed by the residents. Everybody had a great time, which was great to see. Gentleman's Invitational, which we touched base on, and then most recently, just last week, we had our St. Patrick's Day event featuring the Burns Brothers, which was great success, which almost got hurt by the rain, but we played it, and the worst of the storms are away from us, but unfortunately we got that little bit of rain towards the end. But overall, everybody's drinking their Guinness, Harps, Middicks, enjoying their food. The band were fantastic. Hope to have them next year if we can. But overall, it was a really, really good event. Upcoming events and specials, again, we still have our happy hour over at golf from 2 to 6 from Monday to Friday. Coming up, we just by the end of this week, we're going to have the Easter menu set for our Easter brunch menu, and then obviously the Mother's Day is going to be coming up straight after that. We also have a Memorial Day scramble that's going to be coming up in May, and there will be a separate lunch ticket available for those who want to come in and attend. Last but not least, menu service updates. Pizza's now available over at Golf. We do have our pizza oven right now. We are having a new menu rollout over there on the 31st, which is next Monday. So we will have pizzas available by the whole pie, by the slice. We're going to be interested introducing a couple of more burgers, some appetizers in there as well. And then with the weekly specials, we really want to implement a lot more health conscious meals, more balance. Because golf grills are very everybody wants their burgers, everybody wants their sandwiches, everybody wants their sides of fries, onion rings. We still have that, but then with the weekly specials, we kind of want to do some, maybe some protein bowls and whatnot. Maybe something interesting that will appease to the eye. What's that?
Add more spinach.
Okay,
I don't need the protein.
we still got some more down there. Come join us. So plaza menu, we're going to be revising in April. Those of you who are not, that are not aware, but a reminder that we do have online ordering available over at Golf. And it is available on your app. And I do encourage everybody to use it. I know it's a little, we're working on making sure that we're being able to use it properly from a server standpoint, but we do have that up and running. It is available, and it does have the full menu available on that. Once we get the new menu updated on Monday, we'll be able to implement that in on the app as well. For those of you who want to order pizza to go, which is a larger one, especially on a Monday when we're close here, it will be available if anybody wants to get one as well. And then with regards to the online order for Plaza, we're still going to be working on that. That's just a little bit tedious because we do have a full menu, a more extensive menu than what we have over at Golf. So we're working on the modification part of that just to make sure it's available for everybody. And that's everything for me. All right.
All right, thank you.
Questions?
Okay, we're gonna move over to Ben Johnson, our Director of Golf.
Evening, everybody. How you doing? Seems like just yesterday I was getting introduced over here as the director of golf. So here we are in late March. So we're happy. Okay, here I am. Thank you, Ricky, then.
Make sure you speak up and project.
Oh, I'll speak and project.
Okay.
Let's see, a lot of great things happening here. Let's see, solid revenue numbers for the month of January. One of the most profitable on records that we have. Even with the weather being the way it was, a little cold, we had 3 rainy days in there, but despite the weather, great month in terms of revenue. Total rounds, we had 4,210. Merchandise sales in the month of January were also excellent, up 70% from 2024. We had our 10th anniversary celebration and pro shop sale. We had the 10th anniversary polos, the lanyards, and the flags. A lot of member participation, came down, had a great night, like a great sale, and everyone looked good doing it, most importantly. See, January, we added the starter shack up there on the first tee, you guys may have all seen. That identifiable landmarks for public players, like place to check in, and also a place for members. Come check in on your first tee box, get any round updates, course conditions, and then also have a place to get our starter ranger staff out of the elements in the summertime. Let's see. Get into February, another strong month in terms of rounds. We had 4,588 total rounds. With another strong month in revenues. Our merchandise for the month of February was $22,447. For some, also in February, we had the Couples Club Championship. We had 28 couples participate in one couple format. Got a lot of positive feedback from it, and look to build on in the next year. You can get a few more couples involved. See, and big news in February, we made our investment back on our rental sets. We had a total of 336 rounds since we bought them in the beginning of September. So 6 months paying back a full rental fleet was really solid in terms of the amount of rental sets to accommodate public players, traveling member guests. So yeah, really solid in that department as well. My biggest thing, let's see, our junior golf program on Saturday mornings. Started out in late November with 8 kids showed up our first week. 2 weeks ago, we had the most we ever had. We had 18 kids out there. So we're seeing solid participation. Not a lot of them come from the community, but a couple outside the community as well. I'm just a big little kid myself, so I can relate to them on their level. It's a great time, and we're only looking to build steam on that and take it from just a little hour clinic to some programs we can offer in the summer, getting kids on the course. And also, maybe down the line here, start developing a junior player development program, PGA Junior League, PGA Family Golf, which is something near and dear to my heart and know it's done in my life. So the more I can help out that cause, the better I think the world's going to be. So yeah, and also want to use some of those, that's kind of like a building block, to start building summertime, those late afternoon hours, before or after it rains, get kids on the course. I think that's going to be a great thing for, taking the junior golf direction. Some upcoming events this weekend, the 29th, 30th, we have the club championship. We have 64 players right now on the books for playing the championship. So good luck if you're playing. April 5th and 6th, we have the Ladies Classic coming up. So currently, I believe we're at 38 players for the Ladies Classic. So building on some numbers and gonna have a good time and have some fun. And then on April 3rd, we're gonna do some Callaway performance fittings. So get latest and greatest in the Callaway gear. If clubs are need some new shiny toys, by all means, we'd love to have you come down, try them out, and they can help you out and make you play better golf. Other than that. Oh, and then starting April 12th, we're gonna start a new weekend adult clinic. Open to men and women, after we do our junior program on 10th, we're gonna start at 11:30 to 12:30, just an hour-long clinic. Very simple, very basic, not quite, it's more social golf than anything, but try to target some of the people that work during the week. We have a Thursday women's clinic, we had a Tuesday men's clinic. Kind of didn't see a whole lot of growth in it, but we'll try a new angle, so we can get some new faces in there, get some new people involved, and try to world of golf better, one swing at a time on a weekend, so if you have nothing to do on a Saturday from 11:30 to 12:30, we'd love to have you come down. Yeah, anybody, anybody, welcome, come for a sir. Come on down. But yeah, other than that.
All right, thank you, Ben.
And
I just, can I?
Give me 1 second. We're gonna ask the board first if they have any comments or questions.
Okay, well, I lost it. Understood it.
Right, but we're gonna ask the board first and then we'll ask the members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, do we have any comments, questions?
I'd just like to say that I think it's great what Ben is doing with the kids. I just, and the memorial scramble, that's coming up at the end of in May, we have a family flight. And if kids you want to get your mom and dads out to play golf, you get them to play in the memorial scramble, and there'll be special prizes for any children playing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I just, I remember here for, a number of years.
Can you come closer? Yeah,
People online will.
Set them up.
it's not on.
Yeah, no, I got it. All right, there you go. Go ahead.
Anyway, one of the things, that, we obviously, we have great golf course, we have great community.
Make sure you're using the mic, all right? Just hold it up to your mouth.
Yeah, don't move it away. Yep.
Like that, is that all right now?
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, I belong to golf courses, of course, I own a golf course. I have never seen a golf course anywhere, that has 4 days men's league. Taking, tee times and take away from other members. I am on the board, they are supposed to represent every member of the community, not the select few that play the men's league. And I do, respect the men's, some of the people are my friends, I talk to them. I think it's, first of all, it takes revenue from the, revenue from the, from the golf, public. I don't need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday to see if I can get a tee time between 10 and 11 o'clock. Okay, we are here. I think something has to be done about that. I don't mind having a men's league, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. And if they're going to have more, then they have to go after you, just like everybody else. So this is, I think, it's very important for the board to reconsider. And, your obligation is not only to the select few that are your friends or on men's league.
Can I answer that? Before Ben gets in, sorry, can I just answer that? I'm feel like I'm answering this question till I'm blue in the face. We are either a golf club or we are a golf community, a golf course. The men's league is open to you, sir. They would welcome you with open arms if you wish to play. If you don't want to get up early in the morning, I understand that, but you are welcome to play in any of the leagues. I'm sure. I know Marilyn mentioned it here one day to Terry Green. He told her she was welcome to play in the men's league. So what I would say is we are a golf club, which means we are social. We have leagues for a reason. We use the leagues for people who are new owners, who do not know anybody. And I would probably say there's at least a dozen to maybe 24 people here who are now playing golf regularly in our golf course due to the leagues. So I understand where you're coming from, but you are a minority, sir, not the majority.
think so.
No, I don't think so, a minority. So
You got this.
let me explain something to you.
Guys,
One
please,
at a
folks,
time.
We are a member of the community, we are not minority. I am not here by myself, and yes, we are golf community.
Yes,
But you have to understand the people over there that 70% of the people in this community don't play golf. Okay? So the people that in men's league that are taking public's time or our time, they do not represent the majority of the golf community, man.
but sir, they are also members of this community.
So they are like us.
And it's,
So they can get up in the morning and they can, press the button and book tea time at 6 o'clock in the morning, the same way I am, he is, and everybody
absolutely,
else.
absolutely.
But
they-
I don't want to play in the men's league. If I wanted to play in the men's league, I have enough stress in my life. Okay, to go and play, yesterday was 5.5 hour round, men's league, the other day. 5.5 hours. I don't need to wait 5.5 hours.
Well, then
behind
that's
men's
an
league.
issue for the Rangers, sir.
No,
not-
that doesn't matter because they don't listen to the Rangers. They want them to go fuck off.
Okay.
Sir, please
Thank
do
you.
not use any
Yeah,
language like
yeah,
that.
thank you.
Sir,
Right.
sorry, I don't mean that you're a minority in that.
You just said it, I'm a minority.
No, what I'm saying is, sir, that the people that play in the leagues have as much right to be out in the golf course. as you
Absolutely,
do.
I have not,
It does not.
disagree with you. I do not disagree with you, they have as much right, but I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to press a button, so I can get up to.
Or you could play in the league.
I am not interested in playing.
Thank you, sir.
The system that we
So
have,
you can
sir.
have 1 day, 2 day league is fine, but don't give me 4 or 5.
So we're gonna move
Sir,
on.
thank you. Please have a seat.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have Fred.
Go ahead. We'll come to you.
Fred, who's next?
He was next, and then Savario, and then.
Yeah.
The lady in the
Thank you.
back.
I'll say two things about that. Number one, you're out there every day, you get your key cards, number one. Number two, you never come back to the clubhouse and spend a dime. So the leagues support the golf shop, the golf club. You guys do not. You will just complain, that's all.
Excuse me.
Hold on, you guys-
You-
Well, please, guys, gentlemen.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. If you cannot, if you're going to spell language,
I'm not telling you, I don't spend.
I understand.
You know, I don't spend.
Guys.
Just a reminder, please. Okay, just a reminder,
Discussion.
everybody, this is a discussion, and everything is to be directed at the board and not at individual community
Right,
members
correct.
to each other. This is a board of directors meeting, they are running the show, everything is to be addressed to the board and to the board only and not amongst the community members. And we just ask that everybody respect each other, we will give everybody the opportunity to speak. And everybody gets their voice to be heard. We understand this is a passionate community and a passionate value, but again, direct everything to the board of directors, please, and if we have to, we will disperse the crowd and continue as a remote, virtual meeting, okay? So we're gonna go, Savario was next, and then to the.
John, if you could
okay?
just give me one moment.
Yep.
Before we continue, I just want to make one comment for those folks that are online right now. Because I am sharing my screen with the presentation, I am unable to see the chat. So if you are
No chat?
putting anything in the chat,
Not seeing anything.
No chat, no chat.
they
Okay.
can't. You can only chat with me.
Oh,
So if there's anything in the chat, I will address it as soon as the presentation is no longer being shared.
So I think the issue is we get maybe 3 tee times after the league before the public at 11 o'clock. There's gotta be more than 3 tee times available after the league and before the public. You just gotta have 3 tee times for 300 people in the community. And fortunately, the other 600 homes don't play. You gotta have more than that. Either you gotta move up the public to 12 to 2 and give us after the league until 12 o'clock. Because there's usually 3, 4 tee times between the league and the public. And that's a problem. Because the public doesn't pay what we pay. It costs me $13,500 between all HOAs, cart fee, everything else I have to spend it, $13,500. I should have more than 3 tee times available.
I can't answer that about 2 times.
920 is available tomorrow.
There you go.
Some days I need to play, but some days there isn't.
Right, she,
I have been a member of at least 3 or 4, and
Move on.
I have to agree with the gentleman. There are a lot of leagues. Most country clubs, they'll have 3 leagues. They'll have a men's league, a ladies league, and a couples league. We do have a little bit more than that. We have a Fridays league, forget about playing Saturday mornings. My friends in my organization, they ask me all the time, can we play at your club on a Saturday morning? No. Because all the tee times are taken on Saturday mornings. Now, I kind of fit in because I'm not an early morning golfer, so I'm not gonna hassle with that. You can go out in the mornings, you won't see me out there until maybe after 12. An issue that I have this time of year is, and I go out there and I look in advance. I'm trying to find a tee time somewhere around 1 and 2. so that I can go out, play the ground and finish. And oftentimes I can't find it. Now, I understand that we agreed that Thursdays would be public play. So I don't even worry about a Thursday. But I look out there other days and I agree with the gentleman. All I see is golf now, golf this, golf that, and all the tea times are taken. And if I wanna go out, I can't go out until 3 or 4 o'clock. And I'm not happy about that. Now, I understand all about the revenue. I love it when these people come and play and pay that higher fee. Because that means that they're putting money into the course. And it's offsetting whatever deficit we may have. I don't have a problem with that. But I do agree with him. Maybe we need to find a little bit of a middle ground. Because again, I belong to at least 4 country clubs, and I mean real country clubs with big country club. And they do, they only have 3 leagues. They all have men's league, ladies leagues,
Gotcha.
and couples league. But on Friday mornings, especially during the summer, forget about it. Saturday mornings, forget about it. Then you got the ladies league, and now you got another league where the ladies go out at 3 o'clock. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that, but I do think we need to kind of find a little bit of a middle ground. Because this time of year, it's tough for me to get out there and play around. I got lucky today. I had a tea time at 1:40. Woo-hoo.
Okay, thank you.
But I had to work long and hard for that.
Okay,
Folks, we're gonna request that we're going to move on simply because we want to stick to the agenda items. And for the commenting at this time is for if anybody has any comments or questions about what Ben has presented. Okay, thanks, Ben. All right, next up, we are moving to lifestyle. And for that, we have Mitchell England, your lifestyle director.
Hello, thank you for the few woos. Just a couple things here. In January, we had, of course, our bingo nights. Bingo nights for January and February, we're looking at around 40 residents on average for those evenings. So those were lower, of course, due to some cold weather that we had going on. We had Wind Down Wednesdays in January and February. We saw in January an average of 65 residents for that event and 90 residents for February for the Wind Down Wednesdays. And for live music in January, we had 9 total evenings for live music and 15 total for February. Those do not include our Wind Down Wednesdays or special events. Those were just purely a musician coming out for those nights. For January, we had our 10th anniversary celebration at Golf Grill, as been mentioned, and James, I think, mentioned it as well. We had about 80 to 100 residents in attendance for that event. Residents were very pleased with our entertainment, but felt that the food options could have been a little heartier. That was the feedback we received. For our 2nd annual casino night, we held in January 25th. This was moved from November to January. We had 63 residents purchase tickets, 62 were in attendance. The event was well received by everyone, and it inspired us to take our Hard Rock outing. If you weren't here for that event, we turned the Plaza Restaurant into a full-blown casino. So we had a full pit right here, and we had another roulette table on the end there, and we were playing casino games all night long. We had a DJ in the lobby, a photo booth in the game room. It was a very, very cool event that we had. We also, in January, at the end of the month, we held our Community Connections event. We had 60 to 70 residents in attendance for that, and that event was set up by Liesel. So thank you, Liesel, for helping put that all together. That event encouraged residents to come out and learn about different resident-run activities that we have within the community. In total, in January, we had 26 monthly events across the Plaza and Golf Grill, and we had 25 weekly events across Plaza and Golf Grill. The average attendance for all of our events was anywhere between 10 and 100, depending on which event you're looking at. For February, we had our Super Bowl party. Our Super Bowl party was very well received by those who were here. I know some of you were here for it, so thank you for coming out. We had a total of 138 residents RSVP, and only 80 were in attendance that evening. This was a lesson learned for us for James and myself. We had planned for about 200 that night because we opened it up to the whole community. So we planned for about 200 for food, and we only made enough for 80. We only sold about 80. So
We were very pleased to see those that came out, but it was a little disappointing that not more people showed up for that event. And Valentine's Day dance on February 15th, we had about 140 in attendance. The event was well received. We had a photo booth set up outside, a DJ out back. People could dance and have fun all night with their loved ones and their families. Also in February, we held our Black History Month events. We had 6 events in total, 2 wine downs, which featured African cuisine and New Orleans cuisine. We had our trivia night. We had 2 musicians come out, and our Black History celebration featured Name That Tune, which was a lot of fun. For these events, on average, we had about 60 residents in attendance. Depending, trivia was a little less. And then our wine downs helped kind of balance that out with a little more there. Residents really seem to appreciate these events and the cultural food specials to recognize the month. And then we also had our weekly trivia nights in February. Entertainment Games have been coming out for about 6 months. We were doing 4 trivia nights a week with them, and they were a great host. There was a select few residents who really loved seeing that happen all the time. Unfortunately, it just wasn't bringing enough people to the plaza to justify continuing it. So we have canceled that, but we do have trivia tomorrow, hosted by yours truly. So come out to trivia tomorrow night. In total for February, we had 36 monthly events planned across Plaza and Golf Grill, and 25 weekly events planned across Golf Grill. Let's see, for recent events, in just a couple of Saturdays ago, or I guess it was last Saturday, not this past one, but the one before, we had our spring break pool party. For that event, we had about 80 to 100 residents in attendance. From the feedback I got, many people didn't really know it was happening, but they loved it anyways. I was outside playing music. We had games set up. It was a lot of fun. We also had our St. Patrick's Day Festival. For this event was our most well-attended event since I've been here, aside from New Year's Eve. We had 150 to 160 in attendance. We invited surrounding communities out to this. We invited the Champions Club condos to come out, Del Webb, and the Retreat, just to see if we could get more in here for the public to spend money for us, right, in our community. So we showcased with that opening up our events at Golf Grill can be a great revenue driver for future events. Unfortunately, in the end, it was rained out, but it seemed like everybody really loved the event there. And then, of course, on Saturday, we went to Hard Rock. I don't see anybody here that went with us, I don't think. But we went to Hard Rock, and it was a phenomenal time. If you didn't go, you missed out. We had 37 tickets purchased for that, 32 were in attendance, and everybody loved it. We will be doing that again soon.
Any big winners?
Any big winners? Yeah, we did have a couple winners. Yeah, we had a couple win $500, a couple win $800. You know, there was quite a few good winners there. I myself, not so much. I lost. That's all right. It was fun anyways, yeah. For upcoming events, in April, we have our spring community yard sale on April 12th. If you want to get involved with that, make sure you send me an email so you can put your address on the map. We have our Easter egg hunt on April 19th, our Easter brunch on April 20th, the Orlando City Soccer outing against Atlanta on April 26th, and our Memorial Day weekend events in May, from May 24th through the 26th. We're going to do stuff all weekend, so we'll have a lot of fun. And I say all weekend as Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. For new and ongoing programs, we are exploring options with Small World Tours to organize more resident outings. We are exploring options for upgrades to enhance the resident experience here at the plaza, including maybe an audio upgrade and screens to screen in our patio, so that way we can stay warm in the winters and stay dry in the summers. And then we are also looking to plan more summer block parties this summer and more culturally immersive Wine Down Wednesdays, where maybe our musician is themed to whatever culture we are showcasing for that event. But I think that's about it for me.
All right, thank you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Board.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna board the food trucks at the food?
Food trucks, I certainly can. Those are easy enough to do. Unfortunately, the reason we stopped for that one is because we didn't see enough people coming out for it. So the food trucks that came out didn't feel like it was beneficial enough. Now, I'd be more than happy to try that again, and maybe we add something to it to try and get that up and running. Especially, I mean, let me ask you this, what day do you think works best? I was doing it on Mondays. I think maybe that was.
The weekend.
Try the weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. The only reason I was trying on the Monday is because here we're closed, of course, but yeah. So we could try it again for sure.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mitch.
Of course.
So much.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, next up, we have John McTighe, our property controller, touch on our financial.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Like Stephanie said, my name is John. I'm the property controller, so I'm taking over Ellen's financial reporting. So let me just start off by saying that I understand that the January financials were delayed. That was done consciously this year. As you are aware, if you've been a member of the community for the last couple of years, we do go through an annual audit, and those audit adjustments are generally done in the month of June. What we tried to do this year was take a little bit of a more proactive approach to some of those adjustments, looking back at audit histories of the past, and try to do a lot of the cleanup, so that way, when we do go through the audit in the next couple of weeks, we don't see big adjustments back to the 2024 numbers. So I apologize that it took a little bit longer than normal, but we wanted to be as thorough as we could to try to be proactive and stay ahead of some of the audit results, learning from some of the things that were brought to our attention in the past, and trying to make sure that we didn't repeat those for the 2025 audit of the 2024 financials. So January's financials were published and are available for everybody on Connect. I do anticipate the February financials to be uploaded by the end of the month, and then we'll get back into the normal routine with our normal monthly financial postings within the time period. So today I'm going to focus just on January, since those are the financials that were posted. Currently, at the end of January, we had 1.2 million cash on hand. We had 996,517 in reserves. That was the main operating reserves. And then for the villa reserves, we had the 79,611 in there. Obviously, you can see we're trending more favorably than we were in 2024. And any cash that is not needed necessarily in the operating account does get moved over to our money market account, and it is gaining about 4% interest in that time until we need to move it back to operating for operational expenditures. A few months ago, if you recall, the board did approve the replacement of the pump station down at the golf course. That was about a $330,000 expense. We did put was it 350? 350, sorry, 355. We did put the deposit down of about 35,000. So we have the rest of it that's going to come due once they do the install. I did meet with Ethan, and the company is about a month ahead of schedule. The company was working ahead on their other projects, so we were thinking end of April, sometime in May, for the installation of that. So we will see that hit to the reserves once that expense does come up. Okay, next slide, please. Just a quick snapshot at our, obviously our three main things. Our golf course for January, we ended at $296,692 compared to our $199 of our budget, making it a favorable adventure for us. The golf shop, why we did have a lift in our sales from year over year. We did miss the budget projection. One thing I will note, shame on Ben for not doing it. Although we had our 10-year anniversary party, Erin at our pro shop is constantly bringing in new 10-year anniversary merchandise. So even though you have your nice fancy polo and lanyard, she does now have flasks and different koozies and mugs and things like that. So throughout the entire year, although we celebrate it as one big event, we will be bringing in merchandise throughout the year as the seasons change. So always stop by and check out the new merchandise, and also always check out the sales. As new product comes in, we start to put some of the older inventory on the sales rack. So always stop by and see that. As Ben mentioned, we had 4,210 rounds played in the month of January. Offered just some basic estimates of course utilization, looking at the time of tee slots available, taking into account daylight savings times and things like that. We had about an 80.8% course utilization rate from the total maximum tee times that we could book. Looking back compared to 2024, our average round per golf in the month of January 2025 was $70.47 compared to the $47.20 in 2024. So significant jump in the average price per round. For that, golf shop spend is $4.81 per round in the month of January, up from the $3.25 in January 2024. Golf grill is up, even though we did miss budget by the 3,200, we are up year over year by 13.8% compared to last year's revenue of 50,075. And then the plaza is also up 24%, even though it did miss the revenue projection. We are up year over year from the 96,814. Next slide, Steph. Just quickly looking at the expenses, we came in favorably for expenses for golf and grill, slightly over for the plaza. As everybody knows, that is something we are working on with adjusting schedules for our staff, trying to make sure we're fully staffed for the peak times. If you notice in the mornings, there's one server now working the morning shift until it gets a little bit busier in the afternoon. So as we continue to tweak that adjustment and work out labor hours, we'll start to see that come back into line with that. Next slide. And then the last thing I wanted to review for the month of January, since it is the first month of the year, budget that Alan presented last year for approval was based off 180 trail fees being sold at the 1825, which gave us a projection of 330,000 of our revenue to come from the trail fees. As we sit here today, we have 146 trail fee members, which brought in 267,000 of the projection of the 330, leaving us short by $63,000. Now I say short with an asterisk because the way we presented the budget, we presented a new option for members who did not want to buy a trail fee, but they own their own cart. They could do the $26. So that was a buying decision that each member had to make. Obviously, the more golf you play, the trail fee is more lucrative for you versus if you're here seasonally and you only pay 20 or 30 rounds, but you own a cart, the $26. So the 63,000 shortfall in the trail fee members will be made up primarily by the $26 members. So for example, in January, we had $6,400 in what's considered cart revenue that was generated from that $26 from trail fee, from members who might not have renewed the trail fee, but opted for the $26. So we'll see that 63,000 kind of cover itself throughout the year as the trend kind of continues with that. The 2025 budget for APHs or annual pass holders was $100,000, which came to about 21 annual pass holders. We currently have 13 pass holders, which brought in about 60,000. So again, leaving us a little bit of a shortfall, 40,000. Again, some slight asterisk. In the past, annual pass holders was 12 months from the day you purchased it. We have changed that now to a calendar. So anybody who is renewing, who bought that last year and is expiring in January, February, March, or April, and so forth, will get prorated for the rest of the year, and then the calendar year. The reason for that is there's a limitation within 4Ts. The 4T system is not as smart to understand that my annual pass expires on November 1st, Measles expires on December's, meals and so forth. So we have to get into the calendar year, so that way there's no mistakes in the pro shop of somebody golfing without it, because there's also no way of indicating that my annual pass has expired to the pro shop staff. So by conforming it to a calendar year, makes it a lot easier for us to know in the pro shop staff that everybody has to renew. And then Ben has the daunting task of on the 31st of December going in and wiping everybody's status clean and reprogramming them for the upcoming year. So that is a change that we did with that. So we will see that number close a little bit as some of the annual pass holders who are on that expiring periodically throughout the year kind of renew. And then we're always attracting more members or more guests to join and sign up for an annual pass holders. I know some of the members have recommended their friends to the APH program. So it's something that we're always offering in the pro shop. They just have to see Ben or Aaron for that. So those were my highlights for January. And then in the next meeting, we'll cover February and March.
The 70-47.
Yeah.
The average per
Good
round.
stuff.
Yep.
That is taking the 296 and dividing it by 4210.
Correct.
So the $26, you take their own card, or the 31 that take the club card or trail fee, are lowering that number. That's not our public play revenue number.
Correct. That is not the public play number. No, that is just solely revenue divided by number of rounds played.
Do you have the public play number?
I do have a public play number, yes. So I don't have the price per round, but the breakdown was 2,136 member rounds, 2,074 public rounds, which makes up the 42. So it was a 51.49.
But you don't know how much the public brought in January.
I could run that statistic, for it,
Yeah,
because
be interesting.
the public runs off of just that number.
Well, if you think intuitively, $31 is the top end
And the member,
on the member.
correct.
So that 70 has to be,
Majority of it is the public play, yeah, because we did see a significant renegotiation in the public rate for 2025, so there was a
Just
big jump.
January, on an average January, you'd expect it to be higher than $70.
last year was 47.
Last year was
That was
40,
for 2024, which would be 12 months, or was
No,
that
no.
last
that
January?
was just January
January
alone,
to January.
yeah, that's January to January. Yep,
I thought that was for the year.
no, ma'am,
You have to keep in mind, January, the first 2 weeks is not the greatest. In terms of people go home from Christmas and New Year's.
the year prior to that, it was 46.71%, and in 2022, it's $40.84.
So this is a significant change.
Okay.
So what?
That's question.
No,
Thank
you're
you, John.
fine. So one thing I do want to just mention, now that we have 1 year under the Forties, POS system, I do have the ability now to start, analyzing data differently. So public versus, member spend, is something that I'm trying to work on, a little bit more. So as we kind of continue this data, build up, sorry. As we start to gather this data.
He's refilling beer.
Exactly. Revenue. Sales. So in my future presentations, I will be able to present some more of that statistics.
It would be,
Again,
I
as
think
we,
for everybody, it'd be interesting.
as we see that. So, if you didn't hear me kind of whisper to Liesel, it was 2000 or 2106,
2106. No,
member.
2136 and 2074.
Correct. So it was a 51-49 split for total rounds, 51% member golf, 49% public. So just so that was out there. So we'll get some more statistics as we get the data, into it. But for now, that's my report.
You get the breakdown between, since we're gonna do public versus member on that $70 number, we're gonna do the same then for Golf Grill.
So Golf Grill, I've actually started that. So right now, for the month of January, we had $50,859 in sales at the Golf Grill. 55% of that was generated from a public, members, 45% was from, members of the club. The average spend for a member was $10.76, and, a public was $13.44. Now, the member number could be skewed a little bit because there are members that come down just to eat and they don't necessarily golf. So that number could be raised a little bit because there's spend at the grill that doesn't necessarily turn into a round of golf. The idea would be that if you're coming here as a public person, you are golfing, 9.5 out of 10 times. But that number can also be a little bit, but it was $10.76 for a member versus $13.44 for public for the month of January. Okay.
That's good.
Gentleman here in the front, and also Tom Fail.
So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
First, we're not getting enough money from the public. 139 is not enough for our course. We should be getting 169, 179. That will either reduce play for the same money or increase our revenue. That's the first comment. The second comment, on your average, you're counting the member golf, but you're not taking into account the revenue that comes from the HOA for the members, roughly $1,000 per year. To make a true average, you should take 1/12 of that, put that into the revenue, and then do the division by the golf. Because the member golf is gonna take it down substantially. And so we do pay, we just pay through the HOA.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not reflected in your revenue
No,
number.
this is solely swing revenue, so this is just
But
revenue.
that number's no good. That number's no good. You got a number divided by another number, it means absolutely nothing. Because the number with the money doesn't have the full amount in there. But yet, the rounds are the full amount.
We can add that, sir, that's no problem.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we can run it both
you can
ways.
leave numbers, say whatever you want, believe me, I made a living 40 years teaching mathematics, so.
Sure.
I know you can make numbers, say whatever you wanna say, but they gotta be meaningful.
So Barry, the other thing about that though is the 70% of golfers who don't play are factored into the numerator then, right? So in other words, you're getting 600,
You take it by the round, not necessarily by the people.
So you're saying you have to, let me think about that.
So that's not a good number.
Because if you just add the full thing in, then people who don't golf, you're increasing your revenue number sort of artificially when you're dividing it by a number. So we gotta think about like, we have to identify those specific members and maybe add that in and.
It's just not good because we get about $900,000 from the HOA at the end of the budget, the last I remember, 880 or 940,
Yep,
whatever
yep.
it was. And that's gotta be counted in the revenue if you're gonna divide the number around and split.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're just trying to show a trend, as long as we're consistent in how we do it year over year, right? So in other words, so there's different, like I said, we could slice the numbers all different ways but generally the point being is, year over year, we're phenomenally better than we were in January 2024. Now, January 2024 was a bad month, so let's see how February, March, et cetera, turn out. And one other thing that I just want to point out is, John talked about the delay in January financials, but what John does is he's looking at the revenue on a daily, almost daily, but he's daily report. So almost like to us, when the January numbers are published, we almost don't care because we care more about what's happened currently. It's good to see it in paper to see like it ties out, but we care what's happening. Like he'll send out a report saying, here's what the March numbers are, and we know, so how February did, how March did. So we're dealing a little more real time than just sort of looking at historicals. Because again, you can't react too much to numbers that happened in January. So.
Just for the record, I'd just like to mention this. We have quite a few friends from Canada. They usually play here regularly. And I flew with 12 of them. And they love to play here. They used to stay on hole 13 and rent a house and so on for a couple of weeks. But they couldn't get any tee time. And I know we have to improve our bottom line. We run a business here as well. We care about the coast, we care about everybody in our neighborhood and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, we're happy to see Thursdays filled with green fields because that means it's putting money indirectly in our pocket. But for some of you people look upon us that we don't live here year round, we love to, but we're only allowed so many months. We pay for the whole year, and I, for one, who love golfing, we don't average more than 3 months total. But in the meantime, to get tee times like Nisim was saying, my wife and I sometimes we are awake. When she's awake at 6 o'clock, I'm awake with her because she's trying to get tee times. She says, "Oh my God, it's gone. So and so took it. So and we don't get the chance to play. We belong to 2 courses back in Canada, and there's only one. They don't hunt all the time with men's team or ladies team. They have one for ladies and one for men. And I'm not. I hate to say it, we don't want to take away from the men's team, but they should be considered. Okay, you might say you could go and join them. We don't want to join them because it's sickening to play 4 or 5 hours and they're too serious. And sometimes they keep space of 1 or 2 empty holes and you can't even butt in, you can't even step in. And we could continue, but they won't allow us. Needless to say, we should care about one another. And also, one furthermore, we should really care about one another's property instead of trespassing and trampling over everyone's field and expecting that they should look for your ball and not to be considered or even be courteous to say, "I'm sorry, I hit into you," or "I'm sorry, I broke your window." And I'm not talking about my house alone. I expect to be hit. But I've got my neighbor. But I have my neighbor who's protected by my house. His window was broken in and he doesn't play golf. And the person who was there, he recognized his ball and so on. And he wouldn't even say, "I'm sorry." Needless to say, thank you very much. And we as minority, we love you all. Even though you don't love us, that's fine. And we like to be on, but we can't stay as long as we love you. Thank you.
And as a reminder, folks, we're just asking questions about the financials that were presented from John. So I know I had 2 more gentlemen, do both your questions pertain to that? That's perfect, okay.
Yes, sir.
John, last year, when we went over the whole budget, what we're gonna pay for golf. My biggest complaint was, I give you a check and I get a discount early in December. But you weren't gonna cash, you said, "No problem, we'll put the scanner down the golf grill and we're gonna have that." It took me 6 weeks for you to cash my check, okay? And there's still members that haven't had their trail fee cashed from December.
So what?
Okay, that is unacceptable,
100%.
unacceptable. we're losing 4%. Because you just said that earlier, we're losing 4%, so I think when first services come back and all those late, and you get 4% into the kitty for us because you didn't took so long for that. So what's your story today?
Well, to answer your question, that was done in good faith, because we did get a scanner here. What happened is US Bank, there was a limitation because we don't have enough on hand with them to leverage that, but they rejected our deposits. So then we had to send them back the old way through the mail system, which delayed it because it went to US Bank. They rejected the deposit. That was like 2 weeks for them to do that. Checks came back to us, physical checks came back to us because we had to send them off to US Bank, even though they were remote captured. And then I had to log them all individually. And then what I ended up doing was scanning most of them through QuickPay because they're individual checks. So I was able to do that. The issue with QuickPay was the golf is not set up for that. That's obviously an HOA function, right? So I process as many personally myself through the QuickPay system to get those done to address the concern of the delay in the time of it. As far as checks still not being cashed, I'm not aware of any, but okay.
Yeah, they haven't cashed my check yet. I said, you know, if I was to do it, I'd cancel the check.
Understood.
Okay, and now, okay.
Is there any?
Okay, First Services handle this. When I give the $900 for the plaza, it's out of my account the next day. Why can't we look at it? Bring the checks up here and
Well,
see them the next
because
day.
because golf is done through the POS system, and the POS does not have an ability to scan checks through it. The HOA handling with the food and beverage minimum, because that's done on the ledger, it can flow that way.
Transfer it back.
So, no, I mean, the two systems are intended to be different. You know, the POS system functions as its sole provider of it. If we put it on your ledger that way, then yes, we could do it through the HOA office, through an ACH, we could do all of that through that. Unfortunately, Fortis is not designed to take a check. I mean, it's just not. There's no.
You guys can enforce that. It seemed like we could just pay with a credit card if we didn't have.
Well, because people don't want to pay the fee, they don't want to pay the fee for it, and that's the,
That was
you
the whole
know.
reason. You know, I would have just paid with a credit card, but I had to pay.
But why are we using a bank? So where is US Bank?
You gotta limit this to what you presented.
Okay.
Sorry, where is US Bank?
But I think you need to look at that for next year. We've already missed a problem.
No,
We've got to get it.
We agree with you, Tom.
Sorry, Tom, I have a question. Where is US Bank?
there's not one locally.
So why do we use a bank that's so far away?
Nationwide bank.
Yeah, it's a nationwide bank, and I know when, I wasn't here at the time, but I know that at the time of it, there was issues with banks going under and needing it to be FDIC insured and preferred banking partners. are not
Covered up under $250,000, see,
Right, but at the time, that was the preferred banking partner that the board entered into, so that is something we can be evaluating.
it's just, they sound like they use like, you know, slate and chalk.
If
If you're talking about posting stuff.
yeah, it just doesn't, the POS system is just not,
No, I'm not talking about
Intended for
the POS, I'm talking about the actual physical, putting a check in the mail, sticking a stamp.
Why don't you look at it, John?
Yep.
Right, we're gonna get to what you presented.
I left the check with the office there. When I left for Thanksgiving on November 20th, it cleared my bank on February 7th.
That's what I said.
Understood.
Okay,
All right,
All right.
well, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and move on.
yep, thank you. We do have some questions on the, in the chat. So quickly, some comments.
Will you just tell Marilyn, it was when she was at one of the meetings here and she mentioned to leave. And Terry said that she would be more than welcome to play, and it was at the Connect meeting.
Okay.
That's what that was.
Okay. And then also somebody was asking, and I can just get this answer and respond afterward. What are the rules for Golf Now people to get tee times? How far in advance and what times are available to them? So I'll just get that response.
All year.
Okay, and then somebody just also commented, check depositing delays are unacceptable in my honest opinion. Understand. Ben, can you work on that answer so I can just respond by the end of this meeting, just about Golf Now? What are the available, how far in advance can they book and what times are available for them to book. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 2 items on the consent agenda, both unanimous consents that were signed by the board. So this is just to ratify that. One was a foreclosure authorization, and the other was sending various accounts to a hearing in April.
We have a motion,
I motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don?
John, you still there?
Is, one moment, have to find him.
Right over here.
Muted. John is muted. It automatically,
I know.
Zoom automatically mutes you unless you keep changing.
All right, John, you should be able to unmute.
Okay. Aye.
Thank you, John.
Okay, moving to new business. We are going to combine CNA because, oh wow, that's a bad choice of wording. A and C. And we're gonna call on Kaylin Martinelli from our law firm to talk about the 550A.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I will not accept call questions. Okay, so as you know, we were retained in relation to construction defects that were present within the villas with the golf course. And the plaza has some roofing issues, the pool has some issues, as you know, with the holes, et cetera, et cetera. We brought suit against Lennar. We have been compelled to arbitration. I'm just pulling up my notes. And we are filing that arbitration petition sometime within the next 2 weeks. Once we file that, I expect resolution of the whole case to take somewhere between 16 and 18 months. Don't hold me to that. That's just my best guess. I anticipate there will probably be something like 40 to 50 parties present in the whole litigation. So as you can imagine, that takes a lot of time. With that, the presence of defendants' counsel and defendants' experts and inspectors will be present throughout the next couple of years on site, looking at the pool, looking at the golf course, looking at the villas, things of that nature. So if you see me walking around with a host of people, don't berate us. We're just doing our best. We have retained 2 experts to investigate the golf course issues. There are problems with some Bermuda grass on one of the holes, Bermuda grass? Some kind of grass on one of the holes that shouldn't have been planted. And there is issues with some bulkheads. We're looking into all that. We should have some answers shortly. Our engineer came out to do testing out at the villas on the windows and the roofs. We don't have the report yet. That was just done in January. And we should have the report any day now. Engineers are severely backed up, as you can imagine. So it just takes a while to get some reports. The pool, as was mentioned earlier by Stephanie, is going to be tested next week. Hope to get some answers on what's causing those holes in the bottom. What our expert is going to do is essentially do a sounding test of the whole shell of the pool to figure out what's delaminating and how frequently it's delaminating. And then we will have a proposed repair, which we will take to Lennar, which they will tell us they're not going to do, and we will include in the arbitration. Any questions?
Of arbitration, we're bound by the arbitrator awards, right?
Correct.
You know what I'll do with the lawsuit with Oasis?
The Oasis is on hold for right now. Because of there's a class action waiver present in the deeds that everybody accepted. So the association cannot bring that claim because of that restriction. So it is anticipated that individuals will bring that, and the rest of the community will be able to use any orders that are entered in relation to those individual cases. So we're gonna do 2 test cases, I think, and I can't get too deep into it, but we're gonna try to bring 2 cases. If the judge says, yes, this is bad, then everybody can use those orders to get signal. Theoretically.
But the HOA is not pursuing.
We can't. No, we didn't, we were unaware of the deed restriction. That would
Are you
not.
taking volunteers for the 2?
I think we have enough actually. Yeah,
I think we should offer an olive branch and tell them that maybe they can sell weekly passes to anybody else that doesn't belong to the retreat or, you know, the ones that go to the Oasis, and that way maybe they can pick up some revenue for visitors from our residents.
That's an interesting perspective. The current system they have in place is technically unlawful under current Florida law, and so I would not recommend an olive branch at this point, but I understand.
Because when you have family visiting, like I had my granddaughters here lately, they can't come here unless I'm present or she's present, right? But over there, I could give them my fob, they could go. So I would have no problem buying a weekly pass from time to time, but $1,200 a year is ridiculous. $1,400. $1,400 a year.
The goal is to get the cost down for everyone. That's the primary goal in relation to the Oasis, yes. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
next time I'm going first.
Thinking this live fencing,
Yeah.
Living.
is that part of the,
If they do it properly, it won't be part of the 558.
I mean, why are they doing it? Somebody, did you walk in and say that this was?
No, I actually wasn't part of that. They were supposed to include that, but your board successfully forced them to do it. I didn't have, and they actually complied for some reason. I think it might be somebody that's not part, like is unaware of the lawsuit or something, that was just like, yeah, I'll do it, because if they were aware, they would.
One more question, sorry. So, you know, I understand. You know, you say, but Oasis is charging us, you know, this mandatory $128.
Yeah.
It's unlawful.
There's aspects of it that are unlawful because they are profiting off.
So if I take, HOA is not pursuing, if I take lawsuit against, ACES.
Yeah,
I can.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It varies by person. And we have to hire an accountant, which I've already done, to determine how much it's been.
And we're
actually
recording
from.
this. And we're
Yeah.
recording this, so we.
And we're recording this, so Leonard
We're
can
not-
theoretically see it.
What happens if someone is badly injured or ill on the golf course? Any liability for the golfer or the course?
Oh, that is so outside my scope. I do.
That's the way you answer it.
Out of my scope.
Yeah,
All
All right, thank you, Kayla.
right, going home and eating dinner.
Thanks,
All right, y'all.
Thanks.
so much.
Next on the agenda is the update on the noise review for the Plaza Clubhouse.
Yes, thank you. At a previous board meeting, management was asked to do a noise study on the Plaza Clubhouse as we were getting some complaints from homes that were within a close proximity to the clubhouse during nights of live music, bingos, and trivias. Mitch, our lifestyle director, did lead this project's research, and we obtained a decibel reader. So I am going to pass it over to Mitch for his findings.
So if you weren't aware, a couple months ago, we had some of these complaints come in. We went down to where the complaints were coming from, and we realized that the sound level down there is very loud. So we do notice that. So we wanted to make sure we did everything properly here. So first thing I did back in February, the beginning of February, I called out Osceola County to come out and listen to the noise. This was the sheriff's department. This was not the noise ordinance officer. But the sheriff's department did come out. We had a deputy come out and listen. He said we were totally fine and in compliance. He said they don't typically, he said they won't typically get us in trouble if it's until it's after 10 o'clock. They won't say anything. However, the noise ordinance in Osceola County does state 1 minute after sunset, we have to go down to a 45 decibel limit. 45 decibels is very low. I think in February, I believe Liesl spoke a little bit on what decibels were, it was 55 decibels for typing on a keyboard.
Yeah.
So it's, 45 is very low, right? And so, so we did obtain the decibel reader. And I did 11 readings over the period of the last month, whether we had events or no events. We did find that on average, the decibels for events was around 47.8. The minimum decibel readings were 46.2, and the max decibel readings were 56.8. That was with events. All right. Then without events, we actually noticed that the decibel readings were higher without our events. So we did, and I should tell you, we did our readings down at our property line at the cul-de-sac. So without our events going on, the readings were higher. The average decibel reading was 48.9. The minimum was 47, and the maximum was 60.4. And then the total average decibel readings were 48.2, 46.5 for the minimum, and 58.1 for the maximum. So when we did hit our maximums, we spiked because either kids were screaming in the pool, there was heavy traffic in 27 that was driving by, there may have been a bird chirping overhead. That's what really caused us, yeah, that's what really caused us to peak in those moments, yeah. And we even did, a lot of the times we were contributing our sound level to the waterfall in the pool. So I did do a reading without the waterfall. And the reading without the waterfall was still at a minimum of 45.2. So it was still over the 45 decibel mark without the waterfall turned on. Now, we do recognize that there are, that the noise level out there is a little bit louder. What I equate our patio to is putting a phone in a cup. If you ever put your phone in a cup to amplify the sound, it will blast out. So when we have sound in our patio is that cup. The musicians are the phone, and it's amplifying out everywhere. So we do recognize that there is an issue there. And with that, I think I'll turn it back over to Stephanie.
Okay.
Go check hole number 5 too.
Sure.
The decibel level on that is pretty high. And interesting.
All right, thank you so much, Mitch. So like Mitch said, with all that said, we understand that noise travels. So we are currently to the point where we are researching options to help mitigate the sound. Some options that we are looking to include, but are not limited to, adjusting the entertainment offerings, the addition of patio screens to confine the noise. So this would actually not only help with the noise, but it would also help with weather. So if it would keep the warmth in or the hot out, depending on what time of year it is. And then also we're looking into engaging an arborist to help recommend areas where we can either install a tree line or a hedge line that's installed behind the pool area in front of the cul-de-sac to help absorb the sound. This installment would actually be consistent with Lennar's original site plans for the plaza. So just a few things that we're currently looking into. Nothing is set in stone yet. We don't have any proposals in place yet, but these are the things that we are looking into.
But according to that, the entertainment can be back outside then, right?
I'm so sorry.
According to that, the entertainment can be back outside. According to
Well, so we've been continuing our entertainment outside, but we've been trying to find other ways to have the sound travel. So we've turned, and in my findings as well, when we had musicians out there, we did try them over here facing seat lines in that area. We also put them on this side of the patio, having them face into the patio out towards 27. So we did try different areas. So we are still doing that. Right now, we're just doing a little less of it, but it's also coming up on our slow season, which is why we're doing a little less of it.
Do we have a difference in sound based on the facing?
What was that? A difference in the sound? No. No difference in the sound depending on where the speakers are facing. Sometimes actually with the speakers facing this way, the sound was louder out there. So the reason that, what's weird about the sound study, it's just kind of just how it works is the decibel reader is just in my hand. It's got a microphone on the tip of it. So what it's really reading is the general sound around me. So it's reading the leaves rustling, the wind coming in, the spikes and noise that happen periodically. So with or without the music, it wasn't making much of a difference.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that the board is really very concerned and considering protecting the neighborhood. One further step, can you please protect the neighborhood for broken properties and insurance people, because I have my grandkids having balls falling into the pool through the night. We've got our neighbors and ourselves, we have tiles broken and so on. We can't use our property, we can't go outside. I rather take in the music and the noise rather than being hit, because my head was missed by a foot in outside. I'm paying taxes on my property, but I cannot leave.
Can we put that in the parking lot and just deal with the noise one right now, or we're gonna be on?
Maybe down the road, some trees.
Trees or something. Yep.
The neighborhood consider us as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Sorry, can I ask a question, Stephanie?
yes.
Patio screens, are you talking about like putting screens on where the lanai is?
So what Mitch is looking at right now, would install, motorized screens that can open and close, like close in the actual patio.
Well,
It's just a proposal.
these readings.
Yeah.
They're not horrendous. They're not lock us up in jail and give me an orange jump.
Now, the screens aren't just for the noise, it would help with the.
Well, no,
with the
they
noise level.
take away the whole ambiance of having a resort style area out there. The patio, what helps out there is the pool. I mean, and you've seen a lot more people in here because we haven't been out there. I mean, I've actually stopped coming to the plaza the last month because I don't like eating in here. It's like being in a canteen. I like being outside.
Yeah.
And putting screens up because because we're 3 or 4 decibels over the sound.
No, it's not really, the screens help with the sound, the screens are more for in the winter. When people don't wanna come up here and sit in the cold, we can close the screens and we can actually turn tables in the winter. Whereas right now, we're not turning tables at all in the winter outside, we're only turning tables.
Well, I think before we look at that, we need to see, we'd need to balance to see how much revenue you get from having out
Yes.
there with screens.
Absolutely, and that's something we're looking into.
But I also think we need to remember that you're gonna ruin if you have, folding over screens and they're used.
Yeah, no,
especially
these
summer,
screens are.
It's gonna ruin the
resort
ambiance.
Style communities and resort style properties.
Oh, I know, I've
So,
seen,
and you can
no.
still see the pool and.
no, I know,
Yeah.
but it would negate what we have out there, which is a resort style area, a dining area, it's a patio, you
What
know?
was that?
Screen.
That's what they are, is wind screens.
Not a screen.
Right.
It's not a physical screen, it's just an air that
Yes,
blows.
correct, they're wind screens.
It's a
that come
wind
down.
screen, not a physical screen.
Right, okay.
So why don't we?
Yeah.
This
go away-
again,
look at it,
yeah.
I mean,
It is
that's
all
the whole
free.
study,
Yeah,
but-
but all of this.
Proposals and then we can review.
Seems expensive.
We don't know yet, right? So
Well,
I mean, all
okay, I
it's
can-
going to do is to get
Yeah.
it's going to get information.
Okay, I just think it's a waste of money, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a full proposal coming for that, and we'll have all the numbers included in the meeting for that.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you, when you at the meeting, okay?
Yeah.
You know, in front of the house that was complaining.
So I did do one reading in front of the house.
Okay. Because I think that the sound bounces off the last house on
Us.
Meadow. And then goes down there, that one house gets the most of the noise.
Very possible. So even when we did sound readings inside the neighborhood, when I walked out there and tried to do a reading, it was actually at the same level at our property line or lower. So it's really, the sound isn't really affecting the decibel readings with our decibel reader. It's more of what's in the direct atmosphere of the decibel reader.
Because I live on.
But it is still very loud. I can test it.
I live on Glen Eagle. Okay? And in back of my house. You could look like between the houses and almost see the plaza. Now. If I'm standing by my pool, I can't hear any sound until I move to one little section that my window reflects. To the plaza, and I can hear people talking.
Yeah.
If I move 1 foot this way or 1 foot that way, you can't hear them.
Yeah.
So I think you're getting a lot of reflection.
Yes. And that's kind of what the noise study was to kind of
So.
show,
you can
is that
figure
sound
out
travels.
Where that noise is reflecting and put a tree.
Which is what the arborist.
Yeah, that's the arborist idea, yeah.
Because I thought it was just like 1 foot.
Might be,
Yeah.
but it's also. Decibel reading is one component of this. Not all noises are the same. right? Like a screaming baby sounds way different than a jazz, right? Depending on where you are. So we have to be a little cognizant of that as well. So why don't we let them go away? Find out what this arborist, come back with the other options, and at that point, we can have a better conversation, because right now, what we know is what's been presented by Mitch, so let's not get that cart in front of the horse type of deal here.
Hey, James, I had one last thing. So, and maybe you guys said this in previous things. So what's the difference between the retreat and the Oasis noise coming from the plaza?
The neighbor doesn't live behind there.
Because the wrong person can probably hear the Oasis.
Yeah, I can hear the Oasis very
So, I
well.
mean, how come, what's the difference between that and us?
One neighbor has complained that it's affecting the noise from here.
But they're in violation of the Osceola County ordinance.
Yeah, but you weren't here the last,
Yeah.
the last meeting,
Okay.
when Osceola came out, they basically said that they don't
That's-
give you a
I-
violation for that type of.
Retreat.
But
You know, it is what it is.
but
Yeah,
in fairness, we also changed the motor for down at the golf maintenance shed for the house that you have next. No, I'm talking to you, Terry, that you have for sale next to it, because it was a constant noise. And we eliminated that problem. Yes, but so like, I mean, we have to kind of balance all these things, and we have to find out what the solution is, and at this point, we don't know it yet.
All right, good deal.
All right, moving on. We have one more item for discussion, the roving patrol and parking enforcement proposal.
Okay.
Stephanie, take it away.
Thank you. Saving me.
So there are two things being addressed by the proposals that we are presenting this evening. So one is for security purposes, roving patrol. As the community knows, we have had several break-ins over the past however many years with cars being broken into, whether they're locked or unlocked. I'm aware that we did have a vehicle taken from one of our streets. We just had various break-ins and attempts, and we always get reports of people, you know, questionable people like walking the streets in the evening, and there's that. We also have our parking policy, and the parking policy states that street parking is not allowed within the community of the country club unless a guest has a guest parking pass. So those parking passes technically are only open for guests to park on the street between the hours of 8 AM and 10 PM. After that, there is no street parking, and those passes are really only for guests, not residents. We have situations sometimes where there are vendors working at a home, and you know, it's sometimes these vendors show up in unmarked vehicles. If there's work being done on a home, homeowners are forced to park on the street. For example, if their driveway is getting resealed, the home is being painted. I mean, there's various things. So over the past 2.5 years that I have been the community manager here, this parking policy has been in place, and it has been very difficult to enforce. Simply because right now what happens is if we find a car on the street, we put a parking violation on the window, and it states that if your car is found within 24 hours parked on the street, it will be towed. Or if we find it on the street again within 30 days, it can be towed. After that 30-day window, it starts over again. So if we see a car, you know, the next month, we have to issue it a violation again. We can't just tow it yet. We're not saying that there are not flaws in the parking policy, and that is being looked at. However, this is to address parking enforcement and a roving patrol. I have engaged 3 companies to give us proposals on patrolling the streets at various times throughout the week, the month, the day, and also to help us with the street parking enforcement. They would issue parking violations. They would handle the towing process, keep us informed, reports, and all of that. The 3 companies that I engaged are Curtis Protective Services, Amenity Services, and ICU Protective Services. These proposals are based on 40 hours of service a week, and we would come up with the schedule for them to patrol. Before I go into all of the information, I will just like to say off of the bat that we are recommending Curtis Protective Services. They offer a flat rate for 24/7 service, so that proposal in itself is not based on 40 hours. I did create a spreadsheet for the board to see each company side by side because it was hard to get an apples for apples proposal, simply because all three of the companies provide different services, different pay structures for their service. So amenity services and ICU protective services, they were both based on 40 hours. We would pick the schedule. The rate is the same whether we pick daytime hours or nighttime hours. Both of those companies, the use of a phone for residents to call is an extra service, and that phone would only be available during their working hours. So it would almost be very hard to track because we wouldn't have necessarily set hours that they're in the community that the homeowners would be aware of. So giving the homeowners an option to call a number would be hard when they don't know if the officer is working at that time. But both of these companies would roam the streets of the community at any time we asked them. They would report questionable behavior. They would confront any questionable behavior that they find. They would report it to management. They would contact Osceola sheriffs if needed. They would do all of our parking enforcement, issue citations, inform residents of the rules, get vehicles towed if needed. And then they would also report other various things. For example, if they saw a homeowner breaking a rule, if they see a homeowner with a pet that's not on a leash, they would say something. If they see a broken sprinkler head in a common area, that they would report that. Curtis Protective Services, I'd like to just touch on them since we are recommending them. There is a flat rate. There's no contract. It is a pay-as-you-go service, so it's more of an agreement. They offer 24-hour service with an officer within 5 miles of the property at all times, 24 hours a day. In that 24-hour span, they guarantee that an officer will roam every street of the community 5 times during daytime hours and 5 times during nighttime hours. Additionally, at no additional charge, they will install cameras wherever we ask them to, meaning parking lots or pool decks, anywhere we want, anywhere we find that may be questionable. They also install a GPS tracking system around all of the borders of the community, meaning we can track when they're entering an area or exiting an area, so we know that they're there. All of their officers have body cameras. There are dash cams. They use Teslas to drive around the community. They will also report on light poles that are out, and they'll report that directly to Duke Energy. They will report sprinkler outages, any questionable behavior. They also have 24-hour service for homeowners to call them, and they guarantee that they will be on site within 10 minutes of receiving a phone call, either to the homeowner's home, to management here, basically whatever we ask them to do in that scope, they will do that. I did highlight all of their services in an email that I sent later today to the board later in the afternoon. They can also help us with other situations. For example, when we right now we're having to engage Osceola County Sheriff's Department to help us with the golf cart parades and the 4th of July and the community yard sales, just for traffic control purposes or safety concerns on the 4th of July when, we want our make sure that people are not putting fireworks off the golf course. They will patrol all of that for us. So we are recommending of these 3 proposals, Curtis Protective Services to help. And all the information is in the packet that I did send. But if you have any other questions, please let me know. The board first.
So.
No. Hang on.
Board first.
Right, so let's open this with a motion. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to appoint Curtis as our roaming patrol.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so that's board discussion.
Not for me.
The one thing I would like to add is on Curtis, They are the supplier to the retreat. So this will give us a continuity between if they're noticing something that's happening in our area versus they can be aware of it in the retreat and vice versa. So there are some stuff with that and some, I guess, benefit.
And you spoke to the retreat people.
Yeah, I spoke to Sandra, the president of the retreat. She speaks very highly of it. John, do you have anything?
No, no questions for me, thank you.
I have a question. Are we budgeted for this or 70 grand a year?
No, I mean, it wasn't budgeted initially, but we have, positive
Not gonna put us in,
fund balance and
where would it come out of?
come out of the operating fund balance. You said it's not contractual, so this is
It's not
if
contractual.
we
It's an
didn't find
agreement if we,
value in a month or two, we could cancel it.
correct.
So we're not signing up for the full thing necessarily.
And it is weekly invoicing, so we wouldn't be stuck, like, say we wanted to stop using them at the beginning of the month, we wouldn't be stuck for the rest of the month, we would be just stuck for the current week that we're in. Yes, but let the board discuss first and then we'll open it up to the
I thought
community.
Somebody sent us that we had to give them 30 days, no?
No.
No,
That was on the other guys?
That's the other guys. yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm good. You good? Any comments?
yes.
Severio.
Severio was.
So, that sounds great, what they say they do, but are they gonna do it? And how are we gonna know that if they do it? Because we had an incident about 3 years ago at the retreat. Someone was supposed to patrol the area, they didn't, and a young man lost his life. So
Understood.
it's great.
Yep.
Your resume can look so good, but are you gonna do what you say you're gonna do? How are we gonna know if they do what we say we're gonna do?
So number one, they do come highly recommended by other communities in the area. I do have those recommendations. Number two, that's why they do install the GPS tracking system around the borders of the community and all entrances to all of the neighborhoods. So we will be able to see and track when the officers are entering a community. Like, I will know that an officer has entered Mickelson Court. I will know when an officer has entered the North Pool area. I will know when an officer enters the plaza parking lot. It's all tracked by GPS fencing.
Somebody has to look at it.
Correct, and that will be me. Yeah.
Reports. Now,
Yeah.
that said,
Or, yeah,
this is not 100%
right.
fail proof, right? In other words, if they patrol at 2 AM and they see nothing, but at 3 AM, someone comes and breaks into my car, so it's not gonna be perfect, but right now we've got nothing, right? And we've heard things over times of, where's the roving patrol? Where's the Osceola police? All that stuff.
Neighborhood watch group.
We've been advised by insurance attorneys to not go there at all. I mean, the other thing that's key about this too is these are unarmed. Well, I think you can request them to be armed, which is a different issue, right? Because you don't want to introduce that into your talking about insurance and liability. So you gotta be careful about that as well. Again, you want in theory, these people, you see them on the ring cameras, the 4 youths with hoodies or whatever, or adults, whatever they are. If they see somebody with, lights on their car, they're probably gonna not go down that road, or they're gonna run away, or they're gonna cut through somebody's property. It's not gonna be 100% perfect, I'm sure, but like right now, we got nothing that prevents, even we all, back in the day when you bought in, it's like gated community, that's great. Guess what? Anybody can get into the community, right? In other words, you can walk into the community, you can talk your way through a gate sometime, so again, that's not fail safe. This is just another added level that we don't have today. And because we've seen, uptick in that and it's spring break and more people, the retreat probably getting more higher vacancy rates, higher occupancy rates. It might be worthwhile to try it at least for a couple of months just to see if we see benefit. I mean, the problem is if it's successful, you won't really know it except for that nothing happens, right? And that's the hard thing, right? Because you like to, now, I suppose another success is they found 5 kids, they got them arrested by Osceola sheriff. But, I'm not sure by the time they call and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's.
Additionally, and also remember, we're going to be utilizing them for other things,
parking.
like the parking policy enforcement. That is a big issue in the community. So, we will be utilizing them for that as well. So, we will see, big tick down in people parking on the street when they're not supposed to be. So that is also a benefit.
Is it, is it really that much of, I don't know about parking, I don't see cars on my street that are not on the street anyway. Is that a big issue here?
It's
So it's a big issue in
very
different
big issue
phases.
in certain neighborhoods.
It's a huge issue in certain aspects of the community.
Yeah.
From what I think, this might be the cost of almost $5,000 or so a month.
Yep.
Are we getting that much vandalism through the streets to offset that cost? And have we considered having cameras that motion cameras or something they could really detect or record? And just like you have at home, you're monitored in case there is fire or there is break and enter or something. That would be fixed on certain streets that are not really watched properly or exposed. Have we considered having cameras rather than having people? Because I know for a fact, traveling around the world, you don't even see policemen, especially in Singapore. They don't even have a policeman on the street. They don't even carry guns. All they have is cameras. Everything is recorded, even in England and in Europe. Cameras all over, so anybody commits a crime, it's recorded. They don't have it manned 24/7, and they know you're only one person. You're not gonna be able to monitor the answer for everyone's call. But if everything is recorded, they could really follow crime from the house to the hotel, to the garbage can, or taken to the airport. They could follow all that. We should probably look into new technology. Some of them could record this, cameras, and you're not cost as much, and they are there for the future. You don't have to keep saving people.
Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, the infrastructure for that would be massive, I would expect,
Someone that the place is monitored, rather than seeing a police car, once the police car turn around.
Right, but if the guy's visiting from Idaho and he's in the retreat, good luck with your camera. He's home by the time you looked at that video the next morning.
And this again doesn't solve the street parking problem.
But I think it's, those, I mean,
And
Mentioned about the cameras possibly being installed.
yes,
They have cameras with Ramco and they never work because the cost to have it reviewed is 10 times worse. They could never review anything that happened. The same situation, if you have a camera recording it, unless somebody's looking at it or able to find that spot, you're not going to find anything. It's a deterrent, it's never gonna work perfectly. But as far as paying somebody a service to tell us that a sprinkler head isn't working. Somebody should be responsible in reporting that. A light is out, report it. You shouldn't pay another service to come in and tell us, oh, your sprinkler head is broken.
So that's not,
I think that's just ancillary.
also just an ancillary add-on, but it's not a primary role.
Charge.
no,
No, it's a fixed, it's a
it's
fixed cost.
all in the
Yeah,
fixed
yeah,
rate.
it's covered.
It's all in the fixed rate. Yes, Terry.
Two things real quick. You guys said, was it 5 and 5, like 5 at night, 5 in the daytime?
Yes.
You said something about that? I don't really think we need 5 during the daytime. I think we're pretty cordial, but I think the nighttime would be like up the nighttime one and take away from the daytime one and like even it out. I've never seen a problem during the daytime. I've lived here for 10 years. So.
Yeah.
Except
I was
parking.
on the board with you, and we would get an email every week or two about cars parked everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, we accept that.
People here working.
I'm talking about the nighttime. Obviously, we want to catch the little kids that run around jacking cars and breaking into
That's
cars.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
the
the
main.
But
yeah,
during the
yeah.
day, we do need street parking enforcement.
Second question, follow up on that.
Yeah.
I go to houses all day, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I get violations, I come to my car, I'm in a house for 10 minutes, I come out and get a violation. Park in the street for 30 days. So as a homeowner that works in the community, do I gotta scratch off one of those things 365 days and stick it in my, like, is that what I'm supposed to do?
So
Is that like a gold
technically,
bar, like a
yeah.
$5 million visa, where I get like free street parking?
So technically, if you are the guest of a homeowner, right? Yes. If you are at a home as a visitor,
I'll do it.
right now, yes. However, we are looking at revisions to the parking policy. What that means, I don't know. But
So just to clarify, so if Terry obviously lives here, but he also has a business.
I just got one on Pro Shop 2 days ago.
So if a real estate agent from Reunion came in to show a house, they can park on the street.
With a valid guest parking pass, right now.
I can tell you now, that's not gonna happen, and it's not feasible, and you can, okay.
But you're right, and that's why I think we need to revise the parking.
Said in the email the other day, we
Right.
have some common sense, and I
Right.
don't think we should be wasting money to the detriment of common sense. So Johnny, for instance, who does pools, he does Mickelson, he does juice, you know Johnny, right? Johnny isn't gonna, every time he moves from a house in Mickelson, he does, and where I am, he does 5 or 6 houses, and I could walk, throw a ball to them. He's not gonna change his number on his truck every time, and I wouldn't like to ask him because it's a waste of his time.
So does he drive though in a vehicle that looks like he's cleaning pools?
Yes, of course.
Right,
But
right,
sorry,
right.
he doesn't drive a bike.
Right. So what I'm saying though, when I am out,
The housekeeper in a house, Stephanie,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be turning around and saying to her, look, would you just put that little sticker in your door?
right, but then that's why I sent my email to the board saying this is the problem, because I'm gonna be very transparent here. A few days ago, I went and did violations. I tagged about 16 vehicles in the street that looked unmarked. But then I drove around Olympic Club Boulevard and I did see that there were 7 vehicles on the street and they all belonged to either a vendor or they were homeowner vehicles that were having projects done at the house. And I did use my common sense and I did not tag them.
That's what you should be doing.
Right. So, but according to our parking policy, I did the wrong thing. So I need clarification as the community manager or something that is set in writing to say, if they're a vendor or if they're working on their home, we're not going to tag them. It's very difficult to make that decision when I'm out by myself tagging cars.
They'll just lock the door after them.
Give them something they can hang from the mirror, they can use throughout the community.
But that's what we currently ask them to do, and that's what Lisa was pointing out, that's
Well, no,
Not-
it's different because with this pool person that's going, Johnny Miller?
Johnny.
Johnny Miller, he's going from house to house up Mickelson, right? We could have, as I said in my email back, a pass that would be given to Johnny that would be good for the community in the daytime where we know he's doing 5, 6, 12, 50 homes, whatever. The same with, someone just said housekeeping. That person could have it that goes in there. They don't have to get it every time, but now they come through the gate, it sits on the front of it. But all of that is a revision to our parking policy. And let's also keep in mind that the Master Association has the right to tell us to enforce our rules. They have not done that, but they do have that ability. So they could wake up tomorrow and just say, you're gonna start doing this, no street parking, 365, 24/7.
I honestly think that the issues are not vendors, realtors, whatever. I think it's homeowners and renters. Terry and I, we've the same issues. It's hard to get a realtor to lock a damn front door after them when they leave. Never mind asking them to stick a sticker on the thing. You'd agree with me there.
That's on you
So-
then. That's
No,
on you.
no,
Don't put the sticker on, that's on
No,
you.
but seriously, James, no, it's not us. We're fine. We live here. But I'm talking about somebody coming in from, I did a realtor showing house today from Naples. So they're gonna come in, and so we need to be fixing the people who are serial offenders more so than somebody who's parked outside a door for 40 minutes because they're showing the house.
Right, but that's all part of the change in the parking policy.
This is
Right.
where the common sense comes in. Yeah. So if you have
So
somebody.
you would design the policy based on the common sense.
Well, I think we should, because
Right.
if you've got somebody and there's a car parked and 4 days out of 7, the car is parked in the wrong place, well then that's a serial offender and that's the one that needs to be looked at.
Unless
Not
we-
somebody, a one-off car that's come up and is never in the community again.
Unless
I
it's
think
a
John
first
wants
responder. Because then we can't touch it at all.
Well, I'm serious, most responders have sirens, so we're good.
And I was question, what do you get these gas passes? You said you've got different. I don't need it.
we sell them at the HOA office.
You sell
It's 20 passes for $20.
Is John?
Really quick, John Lambert, are you online? I see that you have your hand raised. Do you have any comments, John?
Yeah, I just have one question, one that I forgot to ask, sorry. The security or roving patrol, do they provide a report at all, weekly or a monthly basis saying what they've done, what they've found and so forth?
Yeah, the reporting is daily. So every morning I would have a report from the previous day.
So they'll be able to they'll be listing whoever it is that they may have found that may have been violating parking or whatever it might be.
Correct, yes.
So when we talk about this common sense, John, so like if we went with this, so as we roll out, say the first month, if we did it, then maybe we're not given the violations, maybe we're just tracking it for the first month to get the data, to understand what we need to do to change our policy, to find out what the real problems are. So the two are separate yet intertwined. I think that you gotta start with A to get to B, because
That's right. It's the
Yes.
serial offenders we need to fix.
I agree.
Well, you also should send out a notification out to the entire community, giving them ample time to let their vendors know of the
Yep.
situation, so
And
that
their
they can
renters.
plan accordingly as well.
I agree.
Their tenants, on their tenants, John, if anybody's renting out. a property.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you suggesting that the cost of this service is $5,000 a month? So you're saying it's your budget. Have we got any savings against them? You know, have we budgeted that? Is it a non-budgeted expense?
Lisa asked
That's-
that earlier.
Unbudgeted expense.
Non-budget.
Yeah.
I think there's a concern from the community, there's a bit of a sledgehammer to capital. $5,000 worth, have we got $5,000 a month? You know, we've had all this debate on the government and the dates, and really, we've had to bring public play to try and keep the HOA cost down to something reasonable. I mean, we really will be spending that sort of money on. Have we got planning for that? Really, $5,000, that's a lot of money to do. I'm not saying they're not.
So are you on
You're doing a
Facebook?
job, but I mean, it just feels like a sledgehammer to me, that's all.
But it's not a 3-year contract, it's not a 1-year contract, it's something we can look at. We can employ these guys, see the response that we get, and then we can make a decision on that maybe in a couple of months' time.
Right, but I think we're making this a parking policy service, and I don't think that was the original intent. I think that was an auxiliary. It was, we get a lot of feedback about security within here, right? And if you're on Facebook, you can read it. Look, it's gonna come once a week, right? We won't comment, but it's gonna, anybody can come in here. You've commented about tailgating, right? Then at that point, you get the license plate, you'd have the phone number you can call. That's it. We have security issues. We had a car stolen on
Palmetto Dunes.
Palmetto Dunes.
Joe's car got stolen.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Down to like.
So, and then there's the whole, is there a benefit to us from a safety point of view? And is that something we wanna, as a community, value and pay? I think at this point, the only way to know that is you either try the service, you see how it goes, and if at the end of whatever period it's not working, we pull the plug. Like if we're not getting enough value for the money, we're done.
Are we at an epidemic level?
Oh, God, no.
Well, I would say for whoever talked about the retreat where that person got killed,
I did,
then I think for that family, it's probably epidemic.
I understand.
Right, so then-
They had something
And too late.
with the guy that just didn't do his job.
Right.
I'm saying, wherever these people are gonna do their work, are we at a point that that's the only thing we have to do to resolve it, or is it, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't? I mean, $60,000 a year is a lot of money, and that's only introductory offer. We can sell you two for the same price if you fall now.
Yeah. I get that. All right, we'll get into that. All right. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. All
I'm just putting it out there, I'm not saying you have to answer that, I'm just saying, what's the incident level?
I think if you look on Facebook, you can see the concerns of the community, people going around. Last month, there was a whole bunch of guys who were going around trying people's cars, trying to get in. We were away, and we had one of our people who were away with us in the group. They went into their home. The garage, they rented it, broke into their car, then they used the garage door opener and they went into their home. So yeah, it is a problem.
That's the problem.
If we're gonna have too many restrictions, we're gonna be in prison, basically. It takes the joy of having the freedom of life and community around. There's always gonna be incidents. I was living in my house and sleeping, and someone came in the house, got in my car and drove away. We were, if the people gonna do something, they will do it. They do it on the streets, they do it in the parking lot. We cannot protect 100%.
No, we can't. We as a board have to put, we know this is an issue. We have to put something in place to try and solve.
To buy 20 tickets for $20. Do they have any lifetime, do they have limits, do they have expiry date?
So you're back to the parking. But the
But
parking was not what we went originally for. That became an auxiliary service. And we've gone deep down a rabbit hole.
Those tickets that you could buy 20 tickets for $20, do they
Right.
have any expiry date?
Yes, so when you purchase them, they're good for 3 years, but you can only use one at a time.
So if I could give some to my neighbors, he could use one for his friends, another for, so we could really load up the whole parking with $20, the whole street with $20.
Until,
I mean,
what's the
essentially
what's the time?
10 PM.
Well, 10 PM.
I think, you know, there's an island, I'm just gonna, I'm concerned right now. I know my wife is not giving, she would have, and things like that, making, you know, leave and getting into the hospital. You know, I think it's so nice to pay, it's right, you know, when people from outside see, you know, that you have security, you know, then they will think, well, I think, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 a month is no price to pay for security.
Okay. All right, so let's take a vote here. You did the motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
They will do because
Same. Okay, so before we get to adjournment, I want to deal with some of the issues that went on, and I'm not looking to restart the conversation that happened earlier. We're hearing feedback as it relates to golf access. Why don't you allow us a couple of months to kind of start taking a digest? We can look at what the tee times availability are, who's playing, where it is, what it looks like. And then come back with a town hall May, June, right, to kind of have an open conversation of where that's at. I'm not saying it's going A, I'm not saying it's going B. I'm just saying, let's have a conversation that maybe we understand what the problem is, because on some of these things, right, we have to look like, what is the impact? What is the unintended consequences with all of that? And then we can make a decision, and then we can come back.
I think it's, you know, I agree, you know, yeah, by the way, it's, you know, this season is already too late. You know,
Yes.
we are living in, you know, another 2 weeks, so I'm not here until November or December next year, you know, this year. But I think, you know, everybody has to be fair with each other.
Right.
The whole membership, okay, I'm not against the men's league. You know, I'm saying, okay, maybe the men's league, they can have, you know, if they want, you know, maybe they can shorten, you know, the time. Maybe they can have,
Start at 8 o'clock.
you know, they can, you know, I don't know.
The men's league have, it's,
The issue that is going to.
Remember, I prefaced it
I'm
with
not
one
gonna
of these
teach
things.
But you draw that conclusion. I think that John over there gave some really good analysis, starting to look. It was writing that analysis to the board. He said 50% of our teams have already got a couple of questions. It's 51-40. So we know that's 50%. I know it's 25%. Also goes to team, to the leagues. There's 10% goes to people that I got 6 o'clock mornings. For the booking on everything. And the rest is you consider yourself part of, which I consider part of one play the leagues. That is the fight of the 15%. But when you have a look at the great job that the board and the services did last year about getting back stable in terms of financial model, they did that, pushed the HOA up. It's a big reaction to the HOA. They maximised the opportunity of they got us into a stable position. That stable position was driven by having 50% public play, 25% in the leagues, and 10%. And what James is saying now, why do you let them go away and study the analysis of the stats, get real information that comes coming back, and they'll draw conclusions, so we think that's how we need to split it next year. But one other answer to this is to say to people like you, the guy that complains on them, maybe we as members should update them, then we wouldn't have to have a public. So you can't, what I'm trying to say is you seem to have latched on to the issue is leaks. It's a bigger, wider issue than just the leaks. It's what we pay as individuals. We pay as individuals, it's how the public play, we need to balance the books, so that we have a financial level. I just think James has got just a great suggestion, so we'll get in the analysis. Look at it each year, and we should be supporting the board with what they people that was supposed to keep hammering up. Whichever way they turn, they're getting it wrong. Too much public play, too little public play, too many leagues, not enough leagues. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, I'm not saying I disagree, what I am saying is, when they discuss that, I am not, first of all, I think everybody, I am not against the men's league, okay? I am against, having 4-day men's league, okay? They can have 2 days, they can, or 5, whatever it is. I think you do your analysis, I think that somewhere in the middle where everybody is happy, that kind of like, I'm not saying I eliminate public play, I think it's great because obviously that it does revenue.
Charge more.
Uses our HOA, being involved. But I think everybody has to be fair with everybody else. It cannot be one way this way or one way that way, just somewhere in the middle.
I agree. We'll come back with something
That's what I'm asking.
major.
One consideration, instead of having 10 league or 10 groups, maybe break it into 3, maybe make it 3 groups. 2 groups at a time, instead of taking the whole.
We'll look at all the options, right? But
We put a town hall together.
we'll put a town hall. Last one here, so you got it.
You have to do a combination. One of the leagues moved at 9 o'clock. That took away a half hour of time. Most of the leagues were 8:30. So maybe you gotta move the league back a little bit, move the public maybe to 11:30 to whatever. And that gives the members a little more time to be able to, casual.
I think what we need to do is find the data. John will handle getting us the data. Once we have the data, then we can.
Guys, can we please keep the conversations to a minimum in the audience?
Can't just make a decision on data. We
No, I
are a
understand
golf
that.
club, or else we're a golf course that's here forever,
We're
one or the other.
we are a community that the golf is an amenity.
No, we are a golf,
Oh, we are.
we are a golf club.
We're an HOA on golf course, and that's
All right.
why there's a confusion.
Well, in that case, then we're no better. I mean, people buy into this lifestyle. They don't buy into a HOA joint golf course. They
But
join the golf club. Do you know how many people buy here specifically to be a member of our golf course?
And that.
No idea how many.
Well, I have
HOA.
many of you, I've probably sold 7 or 8 in the last 2 years, just because they want to play golf.
Okay, I think we're going down the,
Yeah.
let's look at it major.
I know what you're, but I also want,
Guys, can we please have the audience chatter to a minimum?
at the revenue. We need to look at fostering,
Need to charge more.
well, that too.
139 is not enough. The Omni's getting 198 to 234 during high season.
Southern Dunes gets a lot more than us.
At Southern Dunes in Orange County also.
Southern Dunes, how many members they have?
I don't know. how
No,
many
no
members
members.
we have.
No members.
Right.
Okay, let's move on from Southern Dunes.
But we're talking about the public.
Right,
Public of
but if
Southern
you,
Dunes.
but we have 50% of our tee times are member tee times. Southern Dunes has 0% of that.
That's because it's not it's a. public
Exactly.
course.
So you
It's a
can't then,
public course.
well, that's an out.
My only point was
You're right, it's a
what
public
they're
course. So when
getting
you compare it to what
golf.
it is, they don't have to balance the tee time that he wants, she
No, but they're
wants.
still getting 40, 50, 60 dollars around more than we are.
From the public, right, absolutely.
From the
In Orange
same
County,
public as here.
At 4 o'clock the other day, I looked at Orange County, it was 169.
Well, with all due respect, a friend of mine just moved there, right? And he pays $199 and now gets 40. How much does he get off? We have the same friend that's playing.
It's $75 every place.
So I'm not sure what your guy's paying $199, but I can assure you, my,
Public, I'm talking.
you're right, he pays the $199 for the,
Like a pass.
a pass.
He bought a pass.
$199 gets him to 75. So on that basis, your friend should just do it twice and then he's good,
Yeah, excuse me.
right?
I believe that got a board here that should keep being on the same issue of what they charge for. They're knowledgeable. We've got professionally got a team in place. They're not gonna go and charge $10, they charge $200. There's nobody sat on that side of the table, it's stupid. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous, you beating the same drum that you're not charging. The bigger issue would be how much public play we want, how much the members would prefer to pay for that. Those are the central issues.
That's true.
What they're gonna do when they get the analysis, they're gonna put it in the proposal, they're gonna build as well, for wants to show the background of what we're rather be. Beating the hell out of what the same issue.
I think if we were losing money at the golf, it would be an issue. We're not losing money at the golf. We're making money at the golf. We're contributing to reducing your HOA.
At the sacrifice of members.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
Currently, I personally agree with that comment, but remember this year, they doubled our reserves. We've got maybe, I don't know what it is, 2 million in cash, and $1 billion in cash to get it, but it puts on a sound side of the plan. Because of the decisions that they made, maybe they'll modify decision. Can't beat them all, say, I don't want to pay more HOA. They sold it financially, they said, oh, I don't think what you do financially, and here we are. So, you know, between the rock and the hard place all the time, it's just put forward and said, in June, well, with a proper town hall proposal, all the information that we're getting properly presented to us, though, through Ben, we've got better stewardship, I think, of the people that are moving in and out, see the ticket, it's so much better than it's ever been in the past. And we've got reliable information, and I'm sure that everybody won't mind. That's lead, all lead, it might be you say someone's part, it might be 20, I don't know, they don't. They won't have time to look at the information, we should give them.
All right, thank you. We do have a comment from John, our director. He's suggesting that an advocate committee be established to bring ideas to the board at some point.
Joe, do you want to say something?
All right.
One last question. So is there a set event price or is there a set number of tee times we give to golf now, like each day? I mean, do we cap it or is it open? Like if they can reserve 30 days in advance or whatever for vacationers? I mean, do we have a cap each day on how many we sell to the public? Not in advance, it's a time frame, time limit based. But, you know, so there's, well, in the 12-day booking window they have, a member hasn't taken that time, it's available.
So,
Okay, so it's not like.
so from 11 to 2,
Set a mapped number,
they can book them.
okay,
And then Thursday,
so the time window's blocked.
and then from Thursday, 7 AM or 7:20 or 7:30, depending on date,
Okay.
to 2 o'clock,
Day right now.
right? And then after that,
At what time though? He just said the window's 11 to 2.
Yeah,
Yep,
Monday through Friday.
But the wholesalers get the whole year.
and whatever's
Right.
available.
Yes, they do.
They get the whole year, the wholesalers. Keep
Yes, they
that
do.
the same golf back travel. And when
That's
the
the
sheet is full with them, there's like 3 or 4 left for us. That's it. I'm not gonna say it again.
Unfortunately.
we're good, right?
Get the new guys.
All right, okay.
All right, we all
So
set?
yes, we have a meeting motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. John?
Aye. Aye.
See you,
Can I
John.
just vote no for that?
Get that email that I sent your wife?
Yes, we do.
How did we make out with these people? They're gonna be renewed?